Good afternoon and welcome to PincusCo Live. Today we are speaking with developer Bentley Zhao, CEO of New Empire, and Patrick W. Smith, an associate broker with the Corcoran Group and a consultant focusing on Long Island City condo market. I'm Adam Pincus, founder of the three-year-old news and data company PincusCo Media. This episode is sponsored by G-Parency, a provider of technology solutions designed to empower commercial property owners and reduce their reliance on certain high-cost service providers. This is episode 17 in our weekly series of live broadcasts. Prior episodes are on our YouTube channel. New Empire, a development company founded by Bentley's father in 1997, has been extremely active in the capital markets and development space over the past few months. Just since May, PincusCo has reported on a land purchase in Staten Island, a land purchase in Woodside, a 116-unit plan filed in Long Island City, a construction loan for a 137-unit project in Midtown East, and a new building plan for 59 units in Kips Bay. In addition to that activity, there is something unusual about New Empire, and that is that it develops in multiple boroughs. We wanted to catch up with Bentley to discuss how he is finding locations, financing projects, and selling units. To get a better idea of the condo sales market, we have Patrick Smith, who advises firms on the sales and marketing of units. Bentley, thanks for joining us. I first wanted to ask, why do you develop in multiple boroughs?
So basically, so we are focused on Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens at this moment, because we try to go to Three-borough, like Staten Island or Bronx. But the key point is that we really want to deliver a quality product with a very affordable condo to most of the New Yorker. But in the Staten Island and Bronx, the price is not there yet, right? So we need to deliver any condo price in about $1,000 plus per square feet price. So this must be really decent location, really convenient for traffic, close to that subway system. So that we need to be minimum we need to do, right? So that's really important for our pricing strategy and then our target audience for local New Yorker, right? So I think that you look at our project, now we have a two-way relationship, even though in Manhattan, we are looking for some area, not the prime location of Manhattan. We're looking for secondary location in Manhattan. For example, prime locations, Central Park South, along 57th Street. We don't have a project there yet, because we are trying to looking for most unit in around $1 million to $2 million, that market, right? So that's our company strategy.
And the idea of developing in multiple boroughs, do you find that in itself challenging, or is that an advantage once you kind of understand the different markets that can help as you plan and look for sites?
Say again the question.
When you're to develop in multiple boroughs is uncommon, and it's often seen as sort of complicated because understanding one borough is a headache, and you're trying to understand three or actually more for other assets. Do you find it advantageous to be working in multiple boroughs? Does that help you, or is that a challenge to overcome?
I think that I believe I just said that we doing project for the Three-borough come with natural, because we have been complete more than 100 projects in New York City. So from 1997. So we have been project along any borough, even though we have a small project in Bronx, as Staten Island, but that's a very small project before, right? So the key point is that Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn, we target to the location convenient close to the subway. And we have been doing project in the past years, 20 years. So we have very familiar to the local market because we're local New Yorker, right? All our employees, the hundreds of employees live around New York City, right? So we understand the location, we are local. So we feel very comfortable and very confident for this Three-borough,
And Patrick, I just wanted to ask you, just to zone in right now on the Long Island City market, what's the condo market there just overall?
The condo market here has been excellent. Last year, we achieved $1 billion in sales for the first time. The prior 10-year average annual sales was around 300 million. So we had a lot of new development product that closed and sold out, an increase in interest among resale buyers as well. Mm-hmm. So 2021 was a record year. Even this year with higher interest rates, we have seen the number of sales decrease because interest rates are up about 87%, but we're still seeing sales every day. So it's a resilient market. And I think the reason that it's a resilient market is because our average price point's around $1 million, which is, even with higher interest rates, is the most underserved part of the market.
When the stuff that's selling now, as the interest rates have gone up, does that tend to be above the million or below that?
The interest is, I would say, the deepest part of the market is right around $1 million. But even if you push the price to 1.2 to 1.4, there's still a very strong demand there. I think once you get above 1.5 million in LIC, the demand tends to change.
Mm-hmm. And who is buying there? Is this the question of renters versus buyers, or aspirational?
Well, we actually track the every time a closing happens, we then go into the rental databases to see, within, let's say, 12 months of the closing, if that unit has been offered as a rental unit. And less than 10% of the units that are purchased in Long Island City are offered as rental, which is, we define as real estate investors, people who are buying to rent out the unit for the income or for capital preservation. So almost the entire market in LIC is addressing local demand from first-time home buyers.
And Bentley, is that where you're looking to get your buyers? Is it the same, or is there any? Where are you trying to target buyers?
Like Patrick's right. Mostly we target for most the renter, around the neighborhood. So for example, Long Island City, right? We know that is thousands of unit rental there, right? Is mid to high income professional. So that's our target audience. Of course, we are target for all the international buyer, for the most investor who like to invest in New York City market, who like to collect, buy and lend it to all the lender. Mm-hmm. So I think that in our past project, we have in about 25%, around 30% is investor who like to buy our condo, mm-hmm. and then convert to rental, so that's what they like, because the cap rate for our project is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Do you have these? I think of those small time investors. Are they buying in multiple buildings of yours, or do they?
It happened. One of that most that investor like to looking for my project. For example, one of the Korean buyer, he bought one time buy 6. Studio from one of my project in Long City, and then come to buy my other project also. Mm-hmm. But most of them, they like to buy studio 1 bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Patrick, what's the mechanics when you're saying, hey, you can rent for this and you can buy for this? How do people think about it? How do you pitch it?
Well, it's really not a pitch. We're providing information. Mm-hmm. So for the first-time home buyer, it makes more sense to rent if you require flexibility, if you feel that you might have a job relocation, or perhaps you're not in a position to buy, you don't have your down payment saved, or you expect a major life event, you expect to get married. Maybe you're a renter, or maybe for lifestyle reasons, you love a particular rental building where there's 60 stories and there's views to the river, and that only exists in the rental market. So you're renting for lifestyle reasons. Mm-hmm. So when a first-time home buyer is in a certain neighborhood, and let's just say it's Long Island City or downtown Brooklyn, Borum Hill, an area like that, and they're renting in that area, and they've rented there for a few years, and they think that they're going to be in New York for 5 to 7 years for their career, it probably makes sense to buy at that point. And there's so many tax benefits to buying that you do not get as a renter. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to be in a neighborhood, in a city for 5 to 10 years, we think it's, a prudent decision to buy if you're able to. You have the amortization of your mortgage, you have the capital gains exemption, the tax deductibility of your mortgage interest, real estate taxes, things like that, the imputed rent savings. So there are many, many, many excellent tax benefits to buying.
And maybe a question, well, I guess for Bentley specifically right now, but in terms of financing, do you help the buyers finance, or are buyers kind of on their own and you kind of point them in directions?
Oh yes, like honestly speaking, most that project we have is subject to financing, but in general we only give them a certain window open, let's say 30 or 45 days, with the commitment, financing commitment, right, with that lender. But we happen for some of that kind of buyer, because most of them is a first time home buyer. Let's say sometimes they lose their job, sometimes the increase like this moment, somebody have some difficulty with family, they might be short of the deposit, sometimes we help. We try to, get, every buyer, comfortable to buy our condo. We don't want to say, hey, we default the deposit, but sometimes we, if it's short a little bit, we give you owner financing for that small portion,
Mm-hmm. And Patrick, this is a piece of news that we just reported on recently. It doesn't have to do with Bentley, but there was in Skyline Tower, one of the partners bought out another partner. Risland Holdings bought out United Construction and Development and FSA Capital for what was reported in Acris for $161 million for 106 units. Is there any message there for what's happening in the condo market in Long Island City, or is that just the owners trading shares?
I think it's probably owners trading shares, but we'll find out because after this transfer is done, those units are either going to come back into the market offered under the acquiring entity is going to put them out for sale, or the acquiring entity is going to put them out to rent. So I would say by September, the market will have, an answer of exactly why that internal transfer occurred. That project, I think, is kind of a city within a city. It's 67 stories, 802 units. Our typical condo units range from 6 to 12 floors. There's a few very select projects that might go up to 25 or 30 floors. So we don't really view what's happening there as, indicative of the core LIC condo market.
Is there a benefit because they just took stuff off the market?
We'll have to see. The price point
they could put it back, right?
They could put it back. They haven't announced what they're doing yet. They could put it back. So the price point is also much higher at Skyline because the building is so tall. So you have great views. They've sold about probably more than $600 million so far. So it's a very successful project. They just have to, I guess, figure out, with these unsold units, exactly what they're going to do. And if the sponsors keep them as rental, that's a vote of confidence in Long Island City as well, because the sponsors, is running their analysis and looking at it as it's better to hold these units rather than to sell them.
Mm-hmm. Bentley, I wanted to turn to inside of a condo with the finishes and how you make those decisions. But then of course, there's this issue of supply chain, which has been completely rattling everybody over the past couple of years. How are you handling? How do you bring in the finishes that you want with your supply chain?
If everybody know my background, I'm an architect and designer. So, I know design. At the beginning of my career with the family business, I do the design by myself. Right. Mm-hmm. So basically, right now we have so many projects. So we work with a lot of the reputation designer like ODA, Periferino, most of the design company. We work with them, but from the day one, we work out the design together. We not only fully rely on them, we pick the material together. The day one, we know what kind of material we want to use, and then make sure that material is available and under my budget. Mm-hmm. Right, and then by the past 20 years experience, we have to build a very, very strong foundation for our supply chain we work directly a lot of that manufacturer, the supply chain, because the market occupant, talking about millions of material we purchase per project, so we have really big foundation and secure our employee to work with our supply chain and make sure we have the quality control of the material and make sure our material is on time, right? And also, because of credit for us, so they like to work with us because we always pay on time, never delay, pay a big deposit ahead, so they want to work with me, So even though a lot of the developers have a difficulty at the past last year for supply chain, we got delayed, but we're not significant delay, just talking about because the container delay for the overseas, like most that other supply, we have a less damage, because our big foundation with all the supplier,
And you're still supplying stuff directly from China or from all over the world?
Yeah, we try to sourcing all that the best quality material all over the world. Not only China, we Europe, Italian, in anywhere. We work with a lot of that wholesaler, manufacturer, to custom make all the material. So if you look at our design, most of our project is custom make, including the facade or the material inside. We try to do the best, using the limit budget, but deliver the best product. And we always tell our buyer, we try to supply a 5-star hotel with the 3-star price. Right.
And right. So actually, sort of taking that and turning to the next topic I want to go into, which is the different neighborhoods. You're developing in very different types of buildings for different types of buyers. Like Woodside will be a different type of buyer than Manhattan. How do you decide what it's going to look like on the inside and on the outside? How do you make those decisions?
That is that really challenging for our design team and our designer, because, for example, Woodside, the market, probably you're only able to sell in around 1,000 plus per square feet, right? In Manhattan, sell for around 2,000. So that's a big gap for the price for the condo, even though land from Woodside, let's say, is lower than Manhattan, right? So, but not too much. So that is that challenging for developer. Also the challenge for our designer team. How can we make a very modern design, but with a city living feeling? But if you see our project, we have a project at Flatbush, Brooklyn. So we're selling in about 975 to 1,000 per square feet, but we deliver the fully marble finish inside, maple, 8-inch wide flooring, triple panel, window wall system. Yeah, that's a winning point for our company. We know how to sourcing material, how to using the rent for material and design, to sell a project. So that's why, at the past few years, all our project is ranking number 1, number 2 in New York City for the selling, right? Even though our trade Delancey project today is, I think for this year, we landed top 1 sale for the past month. We're selling about 6-7 units per month. Yeah.
And Patrick, I wanted to ask about the planning of condos and the stacking plan and the release plans and stuff like that. How is anything changing in the way people do that? And sort of how do you handle that right now?
Yeah, so even before the sales and the marketing begins, much earlier on in the development process, we're typically hired by the developer to produce a comprehensive study of the site and the market, where we look at the competitive set and we study, 100 different aspects of each building. We also answer questions about the demographics, the target markets, the labor markets, how deep those markets are. And then we do a quintile analysis where we look at a large set of closed data and we sort it by price per square foot from high to low by unit type. And through that quintile analysis, we're actually able to define what the optimal unit sizes and unit types are. And that's
market for whatever you're
for whatever submarket that we're in. So we get a very good idea of, what the unit mix and what the unit sizes want to be at that particular site. And then when we get to the sales and marketing, we'll do a limited release. We'll do a CPS1 where we gather expressions of interest. And then we'll have our offering plan approval, and we'll begin going out and, collecting, interest and signed contracts for the first batch of units. And typically we would sell from the bottom up, and our projects usually see price increases, and we'll do price amendments on certain lines as we get to see, where the demand is for those particular lines within a building.
Is any of that different now with when you look at a rise in interest rates? But do you think about a different size or
a different size of units, or different release strategy, or
just anything? Like do you like, oh my God, we got to do this in a different way?
No, I think that if you were coming to market today with a building and you were looking to accrue enough contracts to declare your offering plan effective, maybe you wouldn't be so faithful to selling from the bottom up. If there was a buyer who was interested in a particular floor, you might have them come in, do pick of the litter, go in, and take a select unit, and maybe be a little bit more flexible in that way. But fundamentally, I think the rise in interest rates that we've had has been kind of an anomaly right now, and we wouldn't necessarily redo a unit mix because interest rates increased.
And Bentley, how are you guys handling the interest rate increase? And it sounds like you've still got contracts coming in.
Yeah. Again, due to a lot of that buyer for us is investor time, so they are not too much concerned for the interest, and for international buyer, most of them are cash buyer. For them, so the interest is not that much to scare them, but they more care about the rental income, because the rental have been significantly increased about 15% from New York City in the last year. So for them, that is a big income for them, a surprise for them. So they like to buy now and then get a higher rental income.
And that's actually interesting. They would have a competitive advantage because a user owner most likely has to get some financing. Patrick, do you see that where there's an element of there's this advantage to an investor?
Yeah, an investor who a buyer, let's say a buyer, a cash buyer is not going through the underwriting process. We did a study for a client recently where we looked at the negotiation factor for a cash buyer versus someone who was using mortgage financing, and you don't get there's not a very large discount versus someone who's using a mortgage. So someone coming into a new development who's paying cash and thinks they're going to get a significant discount, that's not happening. There is some kind of nice relationship with a cash buyer because the sponsor knows they don't have any contingencies. They're able to potentially close the deal earlier. So there might be, a little more price negotiation, but on the margins, nothing significant.
And Bentley, I'd like to look at, as you're looking for your next projects, where are you looking all over the place, or can you give an idea of maybe submarkets or where you're looking?
Yeah. We're looking for all the 5 boroughs, but again, I think Staten Island's not the neighborhood we target on, so we keep up the Staten because condo price they're so low, we cannot deliver a very quality product. So we're looking a lot from the Bronx, but I didn't see Bronx have something good to coming up. So we are still target a lot for secondary market at Manhattan. And then we target the prime location and Brooklyn and Queens, or secondary location and Brooklyn and Queens at this moment. Like we pick project from 100, but we only target about 3 to 5 projects per year. But we have a very dedicated acquisition team, underwriting team, looking for 100 projects, in all around New York City. We work with every major commercial broker. We talk to them every day. have the deal, they send all the off-market deal without, we are very at it and really, very dedicated to looking for a very reasonable price land, We don't want to pay overprice,
How do you see pricing right now? Is it coming down, or is it firming up for developers because there's not that much condo in the pipeline?
I didn't see that last year. We take some land very good price because still at that COVID time, a lot of the landowner they under almost default or they scared about the market. Mm-hmm. But after the COVID passed, so most the landowner they're very confident for the market. They see the condo price coming up, they see the land price coming up. Even though the condo in the market now sells lower than last year, but they still keep the price very firm. But compared to 2018 or 2019 at the peak market time, we see the land price have been significant discount in about at least 20% compared to 2019, in Manhattan, mm-hmm. And the prime location of Brooklyn, Queens,
And the land that that's out there right now that you're looking at, is some of it distressed or former developers trying to do something that didn't work out, or is it just like land and it's a building and just?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see New York City have too much stress with property because there's so many PE funds, even though they are focused, most developers will bid up to market price. So doesn't mean you cannot able to really buy some discount price land from other state like a focused property. I didn't see that. Every day we in the market looking for deal, even though some piece of land have been focal for some of the band, but end up too in the market when we bid it, it's almost that's normal market price. Mm-hmm.
And Patrick, what's your sense of condo pipeline? I guess just focusing on Long Island City, is it around much of the city? It's slowed down a lot. Brooklyn is still very active, but Manhattan really slowed down. But what's happening in Long Island City?
I would, in the next 3 years, there's expected to be 50% less units delivered to market as compared to the prior 3 years. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of heading into a period of lower supply in LIC.
And how, in terms of like total net absorption and stuff, is that just going to kind of keep things at a steady state if demand drops, or could there be a point where people are banging on doors for condos?
Yeah, we're starting already to see. We're not seeing much resale inventory in LIC. People are holding on to the units that they have. So, we'll have to watch it and see how it turns out.
Bentley, any last word on sort of what's next for New Empire?
For New Empire, we still continue dedicate to provide affordable luxury condo for our New Yorker. So that's our target. Our aiming plan. So and we try to be a very responsible developer compared to most other developers. They have a lot of trouble when the buyer move in the condo with a corrosion problem. We have a dedicated management team to help them solve all the problem after we buy our condo. That's our commitment for most buyer, to our project. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you. We've got to wrap it up here. Thank you, Bentley and Patrick. And I'd like to remind the viewers that you can watch this on our YouTube channel by Monday. We'll have it up. Thank you and have a great day.
Okay. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.